So we're finishing up a couple of these things for the Nier DLC and for the photo mode. You know, like those photo challenges to get outfits. I equipped the normal 2B outfit.
I love it. Isn't it cute?
Yeah, I just don't have the eye blind, whatever you'd call it, like the blindfold.
You didn't want to cover her eyes.
Well, I couldn't afford it.
Oh, you couldn't afford it?
No, I'm poor.
Oh.
So we're going to be running around grabbing a couple more of these things. We are about done with this playlist, though, but the reason I'm going
Look at her butt. You see her butt underneath the dress?
Yeah. One thing I think is really funny, and I think I showed it before, is if you do photo mode, I can't get it to come up. And if you go, like, down...
It wasn't photo mode, it was just a normal camera.
It was?
Yeah.
Oh, it was just like this?
Yeah, it was just like you go down like this.
I think she'll eventually kick it.
Yeah, she does.
There you go. I didn't know it was that. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay.
We got the expert here.
You showed it a few parts ago. That's why I remember it.
Oh, got it. Okay.
That's okay. I added this Let's Play, so I have to remember everything.
Well, I was going to say that we're going to grab this really quick. We might not be... Oh, we're in combat. I saved it so that I could show that I actually do collect things in this.
Did you like that her panties say Eve on them?
Yeah, I think it's cute.
I think it's cute, too.
A lot of the outfits are really cute. There's very few that are just tacky or bad.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they exist, but there's not too many.
I feel like they all have really fun details on them, though.
But yeah, we're almost done with this playlist because not that I don't want to keep playing this game, but there's several other games you and I want to play together.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're probably not going to do a finale. What we'll probably do this time is just leave it open-ended. And if they add more to this game, we'll probably...
I'm sure they will.
Yeah, then we'll probably try it. You know, like we'll add it to the DLC playlist.
Yeah.
But in the meantime, I think we're going to go off and we're going to start playing Final Fantasy VII, the original.
Yay!
And I think we wanted to play something else, too. I don't remember what it was. I know you wanted to start in our Sherlock Holmes game eventually.
Can I be Barrett in the Final Fantasy VII Let's Play? I do his voice really well.
You do his voice very racistly.
No, I do his voice very canonically to how he actually sounds.
That's fair. So I don't know.
So
There's a couple of things we wanted to start. It's like I could play through this game to New Game Plus 5, basically, but I don't even know if you can do that. I know you can do New Game Plus. I'm sure it cycles again, right?
Hey, yo, my name is Barrett.
Okay, Jill. Come on.
I do want to play a Sherlock Holmes game again. I love Sherlock Holmes games so much, and I want to play another one on this channel. I'd also like to play some of the Nancy Drew games on this channel. I don't know if we should play one that I already know the mystery of, though, like for time's sake, because some of them can get pretty long if you don't know what you're doing, or if we should do one that I haven't played before.
I'm not sure. I didn't even know we were doing that.
I thought we were gonna. You kept saying multiple times every time I play a Nancy Drew game, can we play those on the channel together? I want to play the one where you play in the Japanese hotel place.
Oh yeah, I like that one. The only thing is those games are so much dialogue. Like, I feel like they're more dialogue than gameplay.
Yeah, they are.
That's the only thing is I feel like I wonder if it would be hard to do.
It probably would be hard to do.
I'm not saying I wouldn't do it. I was just saying I wonder if that would be difficult.
I also find the puzzles to be the kind of puzzles where, like, a lot of times are the ones where you have to kind of be quiet and figure it out, like, in your head, rather than, like, talking the whole time, if that makes sense. It's kind of like taking a test.
Boy, the more you say this, the more it sounds like it is not a good Let's Play.
It probably isn't a good Let's Play. It's just you said you really wanted to, so I thought I'd just let you.
I don't know. They're cool games. I do wish that they would make more games like that. Mm-hmm. And it seems like the developer is not going to make any more.
I don't know. I mean, they just put out that new one.
Yeah, like 7 years later. What have they been doing in the meantime?
Yeah, it was actually like 10 years later, please.
Like, did they go bankrupt or something in the middle?
I think they might have. I don't know.
That sucks.
I'd have to look more into what happened with them because it kind of seems to me like the company like must have gone under or something because they weren't making stuff for so long, and then they randomly made a new thing after people were asking and asking and asking. But then the reception on it was very mixed. Some people
for the new one?
Yeah, some people liked it a lot, some people didn't.
Did you play it?
I haven't played it yet, no.
I thought this was the scaffolding I needed to go up.
Yes.
I got to the highway.
Yeah.
Am I missing... Oh, wait, is it over here?
You could climb that.
You can't. There's got to be something I can move to get on there, right? By the way, I had a question for you that is a totally random topic, but it's something I thought of. I guess it's not as random as you looking up the reproductive pastime of
Of
Eminem.
yeah.
But it's something interesting, and it's a double-edged question, so it's got two answers. Mm-hmm. I have a question which is, what is the most disappointing movie you've ever watched and why? But then also, what is the worst movie you've ever watched and why? And they can't be the same exact answer because, you know...
I don't want to talk about the worst movie I've ever seen because we've talked about it before, and it's always a long rant about how we don't like shocking content just to be shocking and how things like that.
Yeah, so just change the answer. Like, I'm not talking about the human Ant-Man or whatever.
Human Ant-Man?
I'm talking about, like, just the worst written film you've ever seen.
Worst written film I've ever watched.
Yeah. Because I can tell you my most disappointing right now. My most disappointing was Halloween Ends.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it's like, I don't think it's the worst written film ever, but it is definitely, like, my least favorite in terms of, like, movies that I thought would be better. Like, I genuinely went into it thinking, oh, this will be a lot better. And then I left it just so disappointed. I mean, I made a whole, rant review about it, talking about why I hated it so much and why I was so upset about it.
My most disappointing is the Barbie movie. And I'm pretty sure I've talked about it multiple times, probably even in this Let's Play, about, like, how I just absolutely hated everything about it, and I feel like it didn't capture Barbie at all, and it was just super feminist, like, woke trash. And then it made me mad that a bunch of, like, super feminist SJW women were like, yeah, finally, this is a movie for us. This is what Barbie should have been all along.
What Barbie should have been all along, huh?
And they all loved it, and it was super successful, and it just makes me mad that it was so successful when Barbie's never been super ultra liberal like that, you know? I really didn't like the movie. I really didn't like that they made fun of the brats in it, because those girls who were mean to Barbie in the lunchroom, I don't know if anybody noticed, but they all were named after the brats, and they were all the same races as the girls who were brats, except they messed up Sasha and Yasmin. They flip-flopped them, so they made Yasmin black and they made Sasha Latina, but in the real brats, Sasha is supposed to be black and Yasmin's Latina.
Yeah.
So, and also, I just didn't really like the stupid joke about, like, Zack Snyder's Justice League, because it basically came off as, like, only men can like superhero nerdy stuff like that, and it's a dumb thing for misogynistic men and stuff like that. And it made me feel like, okay, so what about the women who like that kind of stuff? Because I like superheroes too.
Well, they don't matter.
And it just kind of made me feel like that movie was not for me, and it made me sad because I've grown up watching Barbie my entire life. And Barbie's always been this character who is empowering to everybody, not just women. And she's always been, you know, like a face of kindness and a face of being, what's the word? Like...
accepting of everyone?
Not accepting of everyone, like, you know, like, that kind of person who, like, is like a go-getter, like, she gets what she wants, and she tries her best, and she doesn't give up. She's always been like that.
You mean the idea of, like, a career woman, but not one that is so obsessed with her career that she doesn't have friends?
Yeah, like, one that, like, cares about her friends and would do anything for her friends. And
she has goals.
And is a good, kind person, but she also has goals and tries to be on the moral side of things, and has always just been, like, a good, kind person, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that instills a lot of good morals into children, boys and girls. But then when you take the Barbie movie that came out and you show it to men, it makes men feel like Barbie doesn't care about them, you know? Like
it's for women only?
Yeah, like it's for women only. I mean, even look at Alan in that movie. He basically just got tossed to the side and was told, like, who cares about Alan? You know? And they said that multiple times in the movie. You remember that?
Yeah, I do.
I want you to back me up on this.
No, I totally agree. I mean, well, here's the thing. I never liked it, but part of it was it felt like a lot of the story could have been interesting, and it felt like it could have been... I don't know. It felt like it could have been, like, this deep story about, like, meeting your maker, you know? And all these different things, especially with the doll stuff and going into the real world. But that said, I don't think it needed to be. Like, I thought Barbie should have been a fun film like the Lego Movie, and then if you wanted to have a message like the Lego Movie had, You absolutely could. But to me, it felt more like the movie was just about its messages, and Barbie was a backdrop to tell those messages.
Yeah, it felt like political feminist garbage to me.
Well, and it's weird, though, because I've seen a lot of people say, oh, you're misunderstanding. Like, it's not about men being bad and this and that. And it's like, okay, but...
Entire half of the movie was just about them kicking out the Kens.
Well, yeah, like, a bunch of the movie was just about, like... Well, also... I get the point that at the end it's supposed to be like, oh, we were treating the Kens badly too. I get that that's supposed to be the point, but you spent so much of the movie about like boss bitch stuff that it's like you have 5 minutes left to cover that idea. You know what I mean? Like,
and they didn't even really cover it.
No, they just kind of say it.
Yeah.
They just kind of say at the very end, oh yeah, also we weren't being very nice to the Kens, were we? And one thing I don't like is I feel like it, not that everybody has to be, you know, like, together and, I don't know, not that everybody has to be, like, romantically involved with someone, because at the end of the day, there's going to be some people that are not interested in that, but so many people now are getting older and regretting their decisions, like, they're getting to be 45, 50-year-old women, I've said it before, and they're like, where are all the good men, you know? Mm-hmm. And it's like, well, when you were a teenager, you slept around, you threw out stability. I'm really going to generalize here. Then when you became, you know, an adult woman, you decided, I'm going to prioritize my career because the family structure, whether it's gay or straight or whatever, like you could, you know, if we're talking about the family structure, even if it was like two women, you know, and they were partners or two men or whatever, that family structure isn't actually promoted anymore. Like the idea of like finding stability, having a kid or adopting a kid or any of that. It's not really promoted. Like, there's so much propaganda that's always like, our world is ass. You're abusive for bringing a child into it. And let me finish. I let you finish. And my point is that I think Barbie kind of reinstates that idea of, like, you're better off on your own. You're better off seeking out your own purpose. Oh, you're a Ken? You feel like you were destined for Barbie? Well, Barbie is better than that. Barbie is bigger than being for you and your attraction. And you know what, too? You should find a purpose outside of Barbie. And it's like, in the end, it's like, well, what's wrong with some people, though, just wanting romance and wanting to get together and wanting to have a stable family and have a kid, and you can still have a job and stuff. And I guess my point is, I feel like Barbie is another in a long line of movies kind of just saying, nah, the family structure won't make you happy.
I don't need no man.
Yes, exactly that. And you know, I'm not even just saying about men. I'm saying, like, even if you're gay, like, and it feels to me like just another film that is telling you, hey, you're better off on your own. But then you get to be, you know, you'll get to be 60, 70.
It's a recipe for loneliness.
Yes, and you, not that you should have kids to not be lonely, but you should have friends and you should seek out connections and stuff like that. And in the end, like, all it boils down to is a dumb joke about her getting a gynecology exam.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, I don't know. I guess my point, yeah, we've talked ad nauseum about that film. But, like, my point is that I feel like I don't feel like these messages help women.
I also feel like that whole thing took away from the point of Ken's character in general. Ken's character was, or at least always felt to me, like he was supposed to be there for little boys. Mm-hmm. You know, like, I know a lot of people were like, oh no, my little boy can't watch Barbie, that's gay. But for the little boys who did watch Barbie, I feel like Ken was a great role model for them.
Or even just watched their sister play Barbie, or played Barbie with their sister and played as the boy doll.
Yeah, and Ken was always a wonderful role model for men. You know, he was always strong, he's good at making decisions. You know, he always cared about Barbie, even if it got him in trouble.
He's a doofus, but he had a heart of gold.
Even if he's a doofus, because sometimes in certain movies they did make him a little bit of a himbo, which was hilarious. He had a heart of gold, and he did everything he could to make Barbie happy while also pursuing his own dreams in life. A lot of times his own dreams in life were like, he enjoyed surfing, or he enjoys just like the beach in general, or things like that.
Hey, that's a good point. The movie made it out to be like that all he did was to impress her.
Yes.
Like, even surfing.
But in the other movies, Ken has his own life and enjoys doing his own things. And it used to be that the whole Barbie movie lore was like, she was an actress, and a lot of the movies she was starring in were the movies you were watching. And then there was a couple of, like, breaking the fourth wall movies where, like, you see her as an actress and she talks about the previous things that she was in. And you see Ken, and he does his own thing, but they're also together and they're happy. There's one movie in particular I really enjoy. It's, like, the fashion something, and it's she goes to Paris to go find this, like, fashion boutique and stuff, because she's taking a break from acting for a bit, and she's, like, helping out this fashion boutique in Paris.
Mm-hmm.
And her and Ken had a fight beforehand, and he literally takes a plane and goes all the way to Paris and has all of these troubles trying to get to Paris, because there's, like, flight delays, or the plane needs to stop, or whatever, because there's a huge storm, or somebody, like, on the plane throws up on him. And it's, like, just really dumb stuff like that, like, makes it so he can't get to her. But the entire time, he's like, I really want to go make up with Barbie and make her feel better and make sure she's okay, because I want us to be happy. And it's not just for, like, it's not just for her, it's for him too, you know? Like, he always has done things where it makes him happy too. It's not like he's...
I'm having a hard time finding this.
It's not like his entire life is just Barbie and that's it. And it makes me sad that that's kind of how they portrayed him. They portrayed him as, like, not, like, as a himbo, but not as a lovable himbo, you know? Like, they portrayed him as an idiot who only cares about Barbie and not about himself, to the point where he would be self-destructive. And that's not who Ken is. Ken is still a person, and Ken still loves doing Ken things. And he still loves being a guy, you know, who does things, you know, like...
And has guy friends.
And has guy friends. He has guy friends, you know. Even in the movies where he is, like, a prince and he's going to save Barbie from something, Barbie, a lot of times, usually saves herself anyway, because she's always portrayed as very smart. But she doesn't make Ken feel bad about himself. Like,
well, also, he still helps her.
He still helps her. She doesn't make Ken feel bad about himself by saying, like, haha, I saved myself, I didn't need no man. You know, and they usually end up together in the end, and he usually has something else that is going on with him in the movie, too. Like, he always contributes to the plot in an interesting and fun way.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like in this movie, all he did was he saw, like, that men ran the world in the real world, and he saw that there was male presidents and that men had their face on money, and that's a man's world, and then he decided to make Barbie world like that. And I guess I was really disappointed, because I wanted the movie to be kind of like the movies that I saw as a kid, where maybe it would be like, not portraying Barbie as just a doll or just a toy, but portraying her as a real person, kind of like in Barbie Dreamhouse Adventures, where she's portrayed as a real person who lives in Malibu, she has friends, and she does real things that are important and fun. Like in the Barbie Dreamhouse Adventures game that I'm playing on my Xbox right now, her and Brooklyn go and restore a park together, like a recreation center, and they're doing, like, fun things, and they're helping animals and helping people and, like, having a good time. And Ken's there, by the way, and he's helping them, you know, and like, he's not being pushed out of the narrative just because he's a man. And basically what I'm trying to say is I feel like the movie could have been a much better message, and I feel like it could have been a lot more fun. It could have portrayed Barbie as a real girl who has real dreams and real pushes to want to do things, and it could have portrayed Ken as a real guy who has the real drive to do things, but then they also want to be together and be happy, you know. And I'm sure you could have done some cool villain thing too with, like, I don't know, something, because they always have some sort of cool, like, villain in these Barbie movies.
Yeah, like Wendell.
Like Wendell from Magic of the Pegasus. Yeah. You're funny. I don't think his name was Wendell.
Really?
I thought it was like Wendar or something. I don't remember his name. Wendar. I don't know. But you know what I mean? Like, they always have such fun, creative ideas for these Barbie movies. And then the live action one just felt like somebody wanted to make a political piece about how women don't need no man, and how men are boring, and how we should go from treating women as toys into treating them as women. And, you know, like, you know how that it kind of came across like they tried to make it seem like all of the Barbies were just toys, but they wanted to be real people. And then it had that metaphor of like, well, maybe women in real life feel like they're just toys too.
You know what's really funny to me about this movie that I don't think I've ever talked to you about? So, if you actually watch the movie again, the thing that's funniest to me is that all of the women were happiest when they were in a trance under the patriarchy.
Yeah, like at the very beginning of the movie when they did their dance?
No. They were very happy there, too. But I mean, after that, when the men were in charge and they were watching Zack Snyder's Justice League and the men were singing to them with guitars and stuff, if you watch, almost all of those women were happier during that.
Yeah.
So my question is also, what's the message here? Is it, yes, maybe this makes you happy, but it's not what you should want?
I don't know.
Is that the message? Because I'm also kind of like, they were happiest when they were just the toy for the men. Or, like, not the toy, but, like, the object of men's desire. They literally, in the movie, were portrayed to be happiest during the thing that the movie says they shouldn't be. And so I'm not trying to say that's all women should be, but...
Don't you remember after they got out of the trance, they were like, I hated that, that was terrible.
No, they only said I hated that after they got out of the trance. Yeah. During it, they loved it.
No, that's what I said, after they got out of the trance.
They pretended they didn't like it.
Yeah.
But my point is, they did like it. I don't think I've ever done that to one of those enemies.
I don't think so.
My point is, though, that they did like it. And this sounds dangerously close to, well, she liked it, officer. But my point is that I find it funny that that's what they said, oh, women shouldn't want this. And yet, like, in the movie, they portrayed it like it's exactly what would make women happy. Mm-hmm. And so I'm kind of like, well, which is it? Like, the men were happiest when they were controlling the women. Or not controlling, when they were just...
When they were contributing to their society.
Right. When they were in charge, but also when the women loved them and they would, like, seek after the women and sing them songs and all this stuff. Like, classic, like, society. You know what I mean?
Also, beforehand, they weren't given the time of day by any of the women. You know, they were just in the background. They didn't get to contribute anything. Nobody cared for them other than each other.
Right, and my point is... They both seemed happiest during the men were in charge part. Think about it. Do you remember the movie?
No, I do remember the movie. I hear what you're saying. I just think that a lot of people are going to get really mad at you for saying that.
I don't fucking care.
Well, like, here's the thing. I don't think it's because the men were in charge, though. I think it's because the men finally got to contribute and finally got to have the women care about them.
Yes.
And, like, finally got to...
Well, but also the women were, like, desired. Like, they weren't just, like, idolized, but, like, the men, they were doing their own thing and they had power, but also they were still seeking after the women. Mm-hmm. So I feel like the women felt like the men were now, like, people, because they were actually doing something. They had agency and they were doing things, which was attractive. And then the men were still seeking after the women, even though they didn't have to anymore.
Yeah.
Whereas before, the men were seeking after the women only because they had to, because they were made for them. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and so it hit the point...
And they weren't allowed to do anything else, basically.
Right, so it hit a point where both of them had some kind of, I don't know, agency and some kind of, like, Really quick, before I continue this, I wanted to ask you a question about this part of the game, because you might remember it. There's a platforming part with collapsing monkey bars east of the debris-filled entryway, and I remember this, and I went up there more than once, but I can't figure out how to start it. Like, you have to be able to get up here. Oh, maybe it's over there. Okay. I think I might have figured it out. Yeah. My point, Jill, is not, oh, men were in charge, so it was better. My point, Jill, is that...
Why did you keep saying my name?
Because I don't want you to put that in my mouth.
I
should put something else in my mouth.
Oh.
Well, you said that, it sounded like that's what I was saying, basically.
It did sound like that's what you were saying, even though
no, that's literally the part of the movie, though. I'm just describing the part of the movie. My point is that there was this part where men were in charge, and all of a sudden the men were actually doing stuff, like they were actually like a character who contributed.
Uh-huh.
And that, I think, was something the women liked. All of a sudden these men they had courage and they were doing stuff and they had...
That's also something they wanted, is they wanted to have a purpose. And beforehand they weren't allowed to have a purpose,
Right. And so now they had this purpose, but they were still seeking after the women. But the women now had, this other group in society that loved them still, but was interesting all of a sudden. You know, and that's my point, is like, it's weird that in the movie they say, like, this is bad. Like, this is bad for both of you. But that's the part of the movie they show where they're both, like, the most content. So I'm kind of like, what did you want to do here? Because it would almost be like if you showed a guy in a movie and all of a sudden he had $10 million and he was super happy and you were like, he never should have wanted that. It's like,
money's bad.
But, like, why did you make him happy during it then?
Yeah.
Like, why did you portray that part of the movie as if all of a sudden he's finally, you know, happy with himself? At the end of the movie, everyone's just confused. Like, the male Barbie, the male Kens and the female Barbies, you know, they're all just kind of confused and like, well, what should we do now?
Yeah.
And that's kind of where it ends. Like, it's
it was just a really bad written movie, in my opinion, and it felt like it had no point other than to just say fuck men.
Well, now people are going to say we're too stupid to understand the point, so...
I guess so, but that's how it felt to me, is it felt like it was just like a whole movie about like how men shouldn't be allowed to have agency over themselves, and men suck, and Barbie's the only one that matters, and Barbie should be a real person. You know, it was like a shitty Pinocchio story.
A shitty Pinocchio.
Yeah, it was like they took Pinocchio and then they made it feminist and political and shitty. And it wasn't what I wanted. That's not what I wanted. I wanted Barbie, you know? I wanted the kind of Barbie movies that I grew up with, where Barbie was an interesting, fun character, and Ken was an interesting and fun character, and they did interesting and fun things together.
For some reason, I thought I was just on the normal map, but I actually have to travel here. Can I ask you a question?
And they went on adventures together, and also Barbie had friends who she also went on adventures with, who were awesome. And by the way, Teresa and Renee are two of my favorites. Mm-hmm. And they weren't in the movie. I was really hoping for like the whole Barbie gang. I wanted to see Teresa. I wanted to see Renee. I wanted to see Nikki.
Chili.
What?
I understand, and we talked about that before. I thought you would just briefly tell me what the most disappointing movie was that you had seen, not like go into Barbie the podcast.
I'm sorry. It upset me so much, as Barbie was my entire life growing up. I didn't have much. I didn't have any friends. Barbie was my friend, okay? The biggest thing that I enjoyed was for birthdays and Christmas, my grandma would buy me new Barbies or a Barbie dollhouse. Or my favorite thing would be going to the Walmart aisle and finding a new Barbie to get. Because that was my entire life as a kid. And I loved Barbie so much. And I feel like it got ruined for me.
Can I throw something in here? This is what happens when you have activism write the story of something, is it ends up being good for people who love the activism, but not for the people who grew up with the thing. Like the idea, so essentially it's like well, this is our thing now. Yeah. This isn't your thing anymore. And this is a problem I have with it, is if you have somebody who's like a huge fan of a character or a brand, and they also have a story and a message they want to tell with it, I think this can work very well. Mm-hmm. But when you just have like someone who wants to tell a message and a story, so then they get, is this the North of Buried Ruins? I'm looking some of these up. I knew her somewhere, but I'm looking some of these up because it's just way too confusing.
Well, especially the Great Desert just is very, like, even though I love this game and I love the map, I do feel like the Great Desert's a little bit samey in a lot of places where it's hard to find a picture that's on the same stone wall as all over the place, you know?
Yeah. I was gonna say with the activism thing though, if you have someone who loves that story and brand and they have like a message to tell with it, I think it can work. But my problem is a lot of times it's just you get someone who is a renowned filmmaker or whatever, and they have a message they want to put in a movie, and they're like, finally I can tell it because I have this renowned brand. Yeah. And that's it.
And I know a bunch of people will go see this because it's a brand.
Yes. I don't know how to get out of here. Yeah, basically just that. And I think it's really disappointing that happens over and over again.
And it makes me especially mad that a bunch of people who never cared about Barbie like the way I did went and were like, I love this movie, it's perfect. Uh-huh. And it was just a bunch of like liberal people who like were like the extreme insane liberal kind of people who are annoying and don't like men.
Yeah, they weren't Democrats. They were just like ultra...
And think men are demons.
Yeah, well, and I think this is just a problem in general with all of these things, is you get all these people who, they just care about their message. That's really all it is. Hey, I found a stellar tier.
Nice.
I didn't know this was here. That was just an accident.
Good job, Bubby.
Thanks. Yeah, you just get all these people who care about their message, and that's all that they care about.
That was the biggest disappointment of my life.
Oh, come on. Why do they put invisible walls in this game? That's got to be one of my least favorite things about this game. Is like, why couldn't I just jump over onto that roof? Because I need to get around here. Mm-hmm. So instead, what, am I going to have to fast travel?
No, you just have to go around this way. See? And then you go through there.
I just don't see why I should have to go a specific way, like to get to that building right there, when I had a way to get to the building and it worked fine.
I'm sorry, Bingy.
It's just the game deemed that it didn't work fine.
Anyway, the worst written movie I've ever seen, that's a good question, because I've seen a lot of really badly written movies. Let me think. Does it have to be like a AAA movie, or could it be like an indie movie?
I mean, I guess it could be an indie movie, sure.
Because I feel like it's less fun to talk about an indie movie, though.
Then why did you decide to bring that up? Nobody brought that up except you.
Well, here, I'll give you one of both. So one of the worst written films I've ever seen, for like more of like an indie type movie is, and this is one I brought up before, is like that one about the kid who like shoots toast from his hands. Do you remember?
Yes, I do. Yeah, you talked to me about that in this Let's Play, I think.
Yeah, that one's terrible. There's some Disney movies that like were like Disney Channel movies, like with their own Disney Channel actors, that were pretty bad. I don't remember a lot of the names of them because they were just like genuine trash that I watched as a little kid, and I was like, this is fun. Look, the girl got her first kiss with the boy. Yay.
And then you found out later they sucked?
Yeah, then I found out later, oh, this was a terrible movie. But let's see, like a AAA movie that I think is really badly written, and this definitely isn't the worst written movie of all time. This is just one that I think really disappointed me because I really wanted it to be better, was Black Widow. And also Wonder Woman 1989. Both of those movies, I really wanted them... Was it 1989? Or...
84.
84, whatever. Both of those movies, I really wanted them to be much more fun because I love both of those heroes. Mm-hmm. You know, like, I'm not a huge Black Widow fan, but I did admire her. And I was a much bigger Wonder Woman fan than I was a Black Widow fan, and I really love Wonder Woman a lot. Mm-hmm. And both of those movies big time disappointed me, and I felt like were terribly written, and though both of those movies aren't even, like, fun to rewatch, even though they're bad. Like, I'd say, like, you could watch it again, you'd be like, this is fun. It's not great, but it's fun. But with Black Widow and Wonder Woman 1984, they just weren't fun. They were just disappointments to me. I know some people disagree, but I found them annoying. And one of my biggest problems with Wonder Woman, too, is because it was another political crapshoot where they had to go make a big point about Donald Trump. And it's like, give it a rest already. I know, I care. Listen, a lot of people have their own opinions on Donald Trump, but like 20 years from now, people are going to watch that movie and be like, who fucking cares? Donald Trump's dead. You know, because I don't know, I mean...
Right, because he's in his 70s.
He's in his 70s, no offense to him.
He's almost 80, I think.
No offense to him, but I don't know, I don't see him living another 20 years. He's probably going to die of old age.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah, or health, because he's not exactly the skinniest guy.
You know, something like that. But, you know what I mean? It's like... I just feel like they need to stop shoving specific presidents or specific political people into movies and saying, like, this is who you should vote for in, like, a very obvious way. You know, and I just kind of wish they would make their own points without having to shove a lot of this real-world stuff into them. Mm-hmm. Because not only does it make the movie age terribly, but it also just is going to piss off the audience. And it's not fun, you know, like... Superhero movies are supposed to be the kind of thing where, like, you watch them and it's like your escape from reality and you find it interesting and fun, and there's, you know, this battle between good and evil, and it's really exciting. And I felt like we didn't really get any of that in both of those movies, you know?
Yeah, well, so it's rough because it's like, I feel like they really tried for that in Black Widow, but I felt like it fell apart.
It did fall a little flat. They did.
You really can't get out of there? I'm literally on the edge. Okay.
I felt like Black Widow was better than Wonder Woman 1984. However, it does feel like that movie fell apart a little bit, but at least it wasn't super politically driven.
Give me 1 second. Let's cut ahead, okay? You hear this? That was how much it took for me to take out my camera.
Well, that's because you wouldn't wait for her to be done her animation.
Well, I don't know why she had to do that animation.
I don't know. Guess she wanted to. She's a woman of her own accord.
That does make sense. So now there's what, one left? Two left of these. There's one, the 9th one, which is in another random building, and I think I kind of know where that is. What makes these fish any different? Like, why is it like this is a mysterious fish?
It doesn't. There's no difference.
Aren't they all the same picture?
Yeah. We were talking about Black Widow and Wonder Woman 1984.
Woman Knight?
Woman Knight.
I think for me, one of my most disappointing things about Black Widow was that it had this opportunity to add into, like, the canon, and it actually did a really interesting job, like, right after, you know, Black Widow runs away. And I think they had General Ross in there, and they basically had this opportunity to add on to the continuity right after Civil War, because there's a little bit of a jump where you don't see most of these characters again, you know, for a long time. And instead of doing an interesting job with that, they just kind of, I don't know. I don't really know what they did. They just kind of dropped the ball on it.
They did drop the ball.
It just felt like it was an okay film. And
I wanted to see more about the Red Room and how, like, horrible it was, and they didn't really show any of that.
they couldn't because it was just PG-13 and they wanted to shy away from it completely.
Yeah, but I feel like they could have still done a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean...
Even as a PG-13 movie.
Also, the guy who was the villain felt like the most stereotypical, like, misogyny villain of all time to me.
Yeah.
Like, women are tools type guy. You know, again, it just felt like very, I don't know, fake.
Yeah.
To me, it just didn't feel real. This is supposed to be on a... It's supposed to be on, like, a crate over here.
Yeah, I think you went too far.
Okay, well, let's just at least look at the picture. It's inside of a thing.
Could you turn around for me? Let's see now. Walk over there.
I'm gonna get shot by that guy.
Look, there's an area that looks kind of like where we were, where that picture was.
Okay, well, let me look over here.
Look on the storage crates, those little boxes. Look on them.
I will. Let's get rid of these guys. But yeah, I felt that was, to me, the most disappointing part of the film. You know, was like the villain was meh. It added almost nothing to the MCU canon. I read that there was...
Oh, there it is.
I read that there was idea to have Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man appear in the movie, you know, working for Ross. And that didn't happen.
Oh.
And again, it's another one of those things where I'm like, you know, he was probably one of the best characters in the MCU. Even though, you know, he didn't get his own show or anything like that, he just had movies, right? He was still one of the best characters that they did in that universe, and there was a chance to see him one more time. You know, even though Endgame had happened, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Endgame had happened at this point.
Endgame already came out, yeah.
And so there was this chance to see, like, a flashback of him, you know, kind of like one last time, and instead it was like, nah, let's not do that.
Yeah.
It was probably because they didn't want to pay him. But now I'm like, why did you bring him back for reportedly like somewhere to $300 to $500 million to play Doctor Doom when that doesn't even make any sense?
No, it doesn't.
Did you get it? The body core first.
All right, so we're getting a body core here because we gave her the turret thing. Remember that?
I wouldn't dare try to kill an angel. That's all you're getting out of me. Another important bit of info. There's always a secret to trade. Until next time, then. Remember, I'm always open for business.
So anyway, I just felt like Black Widow was pretty much like a epitome of missed opportunity.
Yeah,
you know,
I completely
like,
agree. And I also feel like she should have gotten a movie earlier in the MCU.
Yeah.
I felt like it was weird she was one of the only Avengers who didn't have a movie. Oh, can we see that dress?
Yeah, well, that's one of the reasons why we did this. So first off, we've got to take a picture with the 2B outfit somewhere. Is there somewhere should we pick? Well, we already took one with Eve.
Yeah.
Or with Lily. Maybe we should take one with Adam in his dumb outfit.
Okay.
But yeah, I was gonna say that to me is just a frustrating film.
It
It's
is
like it's
very
not the
frustrating
worst film ever. Like it's not even top 10 worst superhero films.
No, it's just
still
mid.
it's still a good like a fine film. It's a fine film. And Yelena was great in that, you know.
I like her a
Florence
lot.
Pugh.
Yeah.
She's fantastic. I loved her, but
She kind of outshined Scarlett Johansson in that.
yeah, she did. I actually felt bad for Scarlett Johansson in a way though, because even though I disagree with some of the things that she says in real life, I feel like she waited forever to get her own film in that universe.
And then they did her dirty.
And then they kind of did her dirty, and on top of that, they also, I would say that they, how would you put this? They kind of cheated her. Like, do you know this behind the scenes stuff with that?
Nope.
That like they had acted like, oh, we're gonna give you, I'm gonna butcher this, so just keep in mind this is like, you should look it up. I'm gonna give you the worst explanation possible. They basically said something like, with her deal, that it's like you'll get this cut of the theater money or something like that, and then they put it straight to streaming like really quickly.
Oh yeah, they did.
And so they did this weird thing where it was like they took forever to give her a movie, and then in a way it seems like they cheated her out of money she was supposed to make, to the point where I believe she sued them for this.
That came out during COVID, I'm pretty sure, didn't it?
Yeah.
But we were still able to go to theater to see it.
Yeah, well, because we were one of the only two people who didn't like let our entire life die during COVID.
True.
Like we actually did stuff still, we just didn't go out all the time.
I remember we were two of the only people in the theater, too.
Yeah, we just didn't go out all the time.
Yeah.
Because we didn't want to get sick, because like, you know.
Well, the thing is, when nobody else is going out, then you become the only people going out, so it's less of a likely thing for you to get sick anyway, because nobody else is going out. You know?
That's true. I'm trying to figure out a pose here that would be funny with Adam.
I like that one where she's
This
covering
one?
her face. That's funny. And she's like, oh, he's ugly.
He's ugly, huh?
He's ugly.
Look at camera. And then we need some kind of, was it in, no, not shutter, where is it? In here. Some kind of filter.
That's really cute. Is that going to be a thumbnail?
Yeah. This guy's an absolute clown.
He is. He looks insane.
He does. Did you see it had to load in?
Yeah. If you zoom into the mask, can you see his face in it?
Oh, I see what you're saying. I didn't understand. I doubt it. I bet it replaces the model, but let's see. No.
Oh.
It just goes away.
I wanted to see his head. Towards the end of the game, I wanted to see a different head.
That's funny.
I tell you what, he looked really good with that wing and his shirt off.
Yeah, he was like Jefferoth.
Yeah, he looked way more handsome than he did throughout the entire rest of the game.
They really tried to make it so you couldn't clip this camera.
That sucks.
They did a pretty good job with it, too.
How dare they?
I think it might replace his head completely, but I can't really tell because as soon as the camera gets there, it pushes it past him.
Minnie. Oh,
Alright, so you wanted to try that other outfit?
Yes.